Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Pigskin Project YouTube channel. I am Matt Hartman, and today Ben and I bring you everything you need to know about NFL Week 4. We talk about a major injury, we talk about a major quarterback change, and then we talk about all the games, including one with some juicy storylines on Sunday Night Football, including Micah Parsons going back to Dallas. Ryan is out this week. He'll be back for the Sunday night recap show, so don't you worry. But make sure if you want to see any of these live Wednesday 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, we'd love to see you there. But hope you enjoy the video. The games of the week. But before we hit on that, there's some pieces of news that we need to hit on. We'll keep the injuries. Nick Bosa out for the season for the San Francisco 49ers with a torn ACL. Ben, what were your immediate thoughts when you heard that this was the case after it kind of got downplayed during the game?
Yeah, during the game, you didn't expect it to be like this crazy thing based off the way they were talking about it. But man, does that injury luck for the Niners just keep rolling on?
Mm-hmm.
Like you go into this new season and you think, okay, last season was just a fluke. We had a whole bunch of injuries. We'll bounce back this year. And now it's starting to pile up on them again. And it just seems like this team cannot catch a break. Obviously, a huge piece now gone from the roster. One of the best edge rushers. If this is all it is for the Niners for the rest of the season, I think they'll be all right. But it never is. We're going into week 4. There will be more injuries for every single team. It's just going to be a matter of is this just going to be a repeat of last year for the Niners, which it's looking like so far, or can they kind of get a hold of injuries and see if their training staff can actually step in and try to prevent some of this stuff? So
Yeah, the way that they rebuilt this defense specifically over the course of the offseason was to formulate it around Warner and Bosa. You were able to draft Michael Williams and Alfred Collins and CJ West and Marquis Siegel and Upton Stout and all expect those guys to play right away because you have two force multipliers on the defensive end at edge rusher and middle linebacker, two of the most important parts of your defense. And so to see one of those guys go down, especially a pass rusher, uh, this takes away like a Super Bowl ceiling to me. Like
mm-hmm.
because now like it's fun when Bryce Huff is like your third edge rusher. Now he's like their number one edge rusher at this point. Like I think there was hope that Williams would take a stride, and he left and came back into the game
Yeah.
against the Cardinals, so he should be good to go. But yeah, I mean they don't have really any interior pass rushers as of the moment. Like they're kind of banking on the athletes, and you could do that when Bosa's healthy. Now Nick Bosa is not going to be around. Let's get into the second part of major news. There's a quarterback switch. The Giants are starting
Oh,
Jaxson Dart week 4 against this. I almost said San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to start. I think this is malpractice. If you've been around the channel, you know my thoughts on Jaxson Dart. I think he was a day 3 prospect, and you took him at 25. I think everything in the classroom needed to get better. He needed to get mentally quicker. He needed to rework
mm-hmm.
everything from the college level because of the Ole Miss scheme and the half field stuff and the Lane Kiffin of it all. Like, watch this guy get open kind of, mentality, even in the SEC. I just never thought there was a chance this guy would be ready to play in the NFL this year, and now he's being expected to play in September. And my immediate thought, I don't know if you shared the same, isn't this the reason that you also signed Jameis Winston? That if the Russ experiment
Yes.
went wrong, you could then turn to Jameis Winston to go against a Jesse Minter defense that predicates on like being ambitious and aggressive downfield. Like, isn't that the whole point of bringing in a Jameis Winston to not just be an emergency third quarterback? I understand what this is. This is the owner putting pressure on Brian Dable and Joe Shane to start the rookie quarterback that they took in the first round, an Ole Miss rookie quarterback, shades of Eli Manning. Uh, I just think it's malpractice. I think this is a bad idea. I think this could go horribly, horribly wrong. But what were your thoughts when you saw this news?
No, I mean, you had said it. The first thing that came to mind was like, if you decided 3 weeks into the season that this rest stuff is going south, as you said, why are we putting in Jaxson Dart? Again, that was the whole reason that you went out and signed Jameis Winston in the first place. And I mean, if you're not going to trade Jameis Winston, or if you're not going to play Jameis Winston, at least trade him. I mean, there are plenty of other teams around the league that are actively looking for quarterbacks because everyone is
Yeah.
hurt. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Again, as you said, that mental stuff within his game was just not there. And do we really think within the first 3 weeks he has taken these giant strides and leaps? No. Again, I think there's something to trial by fire and just throw him in, see what you got, see if maybe he is the future over the next 13 games. And maybe that's kind of the idea is that, like, well, we know it's not going to be Russ, so let's see if he's going to be the guy to see if we need to go out and spend a draft pick or if we're going to be all right with that. And I think that's probably the rationale behind it, a very flawed one, but that's the only thing in my mind that makes sense as to why they would even possibly begin to think that this was a good idea.
Yeah, I just there's no way this goes well. Like that's not even like computing in my head. I know he played good in
No.
preseason, guys, but the preseason was just all like Ole Miss offense. It was it was all the half field stuff. It was all reading corner leverage and you throw the fade, like things like that that I saw on his Ole Miss tape that I was like, yeah, like he can stand in the pocket and he could deliver some throws, but there's no like left to right to like go. It's left. And that's it. And so
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see how it goes against specifically one of the more respected defensive minds in Jesse Minter. And one last point that I just remembered: Chelsea Gardner-Johnson cut by the Texans
Yes.
after they traded for him in, I believe, March. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Ward is reactivated this week after suspension, so I think that gave them some leeway to do that. I know they took some safeties in the draft, so but this
A
seemed to
lot
be
of a
a
lot of personal stuff behind the doors. I guess he was like screaming at like rookies for not like helping like put weights in the weight room. He was upset
yeah,
with his role. He wanted to blitz more. Um, it's kind of the Stefan Diggs of it all. Like you know what you were getting with him when you signed him with how he was as a person. And sorry to cut you off, but you knew what you were getting with him when you were signing him. And sometimes his greatest strength is his greatest weakness. Some teams are able to handle kind of who he is, and some teams are not. And it seems like the
yeah.
Texans just weren't able to deal with um kind of the craziness that is Chauncey Gardner Johnson. And I mean, if anyone knows that, it's me and you of all people.
It's also one of those things that you think about. Like he's never been around like a losing program this early into a campaign. So I feel like that is also one of those things that is bogging on him. That it's like
Mhm.
they are 0-3, and I don't think he is one of those personalities that is charging up everybody else when you're 0-3. I feel like it just becomes a blame pie situation. Like
Yeah.
pointing at everybody, and that seems to be the case. So that's all the major news points that I wanted to hit on before we got into the games of the week.
Really
Let's flip it.
quickly,
Yep.
there was one more injury that had gotten left off. Another Cowboys player with a high ankle sprain. Tyler Booker, the guard that they had
Yeah.
selected in the first
Yeah.
round, will miss 4 to 6 weeks as well with a high ankle sprain. Something to just keep an eye out. That offensive line depth isn't particularly great for the Cowboys this year, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean they're already sliding guys over with the Cooper Beebe injury. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean they're definitely begging for some interior help. But let's get into the games of the week. Obviously, we always start with Thursday night football this week and next week actually. NFC West showdowns. This is the only division in football where every team is over 500 after 3 games. 3 out of the 4 teams have played the Saints so far, so that helps. That helps your record. Seattle's secondary looks to be almost fully back. Julian Love practiced in full. He has no injury designation. Devin Witherspoon, same thing. Nick Emanwari is still out, and then for Arizona, they are going to be without Will Johnson. Both of these defenses are top 13 in total EPA this season, and they are fine to average and drop back EPA, but they're both top 10 in rushing EPA. And then Arizona, again, like last year, very bad success rate defense, like bottom 10 in both drop back and rushing success rate, but their EPA numbers are good, splash plays. And then the offenses, they're both top 10 passing offenses, but both bottom 10 rush offenses. So it's very ironic how like similar these two teams are being in the same division and having the line that it is for Thursday night football. But Ben, what do you have on this game?
No, I mean the two big things both end up lying on the Cardinal side of this game. It's something that I had said through the first 3 weeks, every single week for the Cardinals is Kyler Murray. You know, how does he withstand a good defense? Because it's been a consistent issue over the course of the
Mm-hmm.
first 3 weeks. Is he looks fine, but then as the game goes on, he kind of fizzles out and isn't really able to get anything done. And kind of as you pointed out, it's not going to get any easier playing the Seahawks. This isn't the Panthers. This isn't the Saints that you're playing. And if you look bad against them, how are you going to look against the Seahawks? And then the other thing is also on that Cardinals offense. Not so much analysis here, but I'm just interested to see how Trey Benson does stepping into this role. It seemed like over the course of the 17 weeks, they were going to try to slowly make that transition from James Conner over to Trey Benson. This James Conner injury obviously threw a very big wrench into that. And they're like, okay, well, so much for the slow transition. Trey Benson, go get him. So I'm just interested to see if the offense changes a whole lot now that it's just Trey Benson and kind of what his snap count looks like, and to see if they need to go out and trade for, a backup running back or if they feel comfortable sticking with Trey Benson for the entirety of the season.
Yeah, like you mentioned it. He was already getting the pass game work, which is pretty obvious with James Conner. James Conner has never really
Yeah.
been a prolific pass game back. He's a good pass protector, but uh, yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I bet they'll bring up some guys here and there. They'll cycle in like Amari DiMercado was activated, so he'll be a guy who kind of shares the touches. But it is interesting to see what a Trey Benson role looks like. Before we move on, matchup of the week: Jackson Smith and Jigba versus whoever he goes against, because it's not going to be Will Johnson. JSN at this point is now no longer is he a slot merchant. He is an outside receiver, 79% snap rate on the outside, and he is likely going to fare against Max Melton, who's fine, but JSN is proving this year like he's one of the guys. Like we always talk
Mm-hmm.
about, like it's Jefferson and Chase at that like top tier, and then like CD is kind of like really close to that tier, and then after that, there's like 6, 7 guys you could really put in that category, and I'm like firmly putting Jackson Smith and Jigba in that category this year. Um, Him and Puka
Absolutely.
Nacua lead all of football with 6 explosive plays in the pass game. So he's averaging 2 20+ yard receptions a game. Pretty crazy. He has a 42.6% target rate already this season, which is crazy. And I'm just interested to see how Gannon deploys his secondary without his, number one sticky man coverage corner against one of like the guys at the position. So it'll be interesting to see. Anything else on this game before we move on?
No, I think you touched on it.
All right. Let's move on to every week we have to talk about your birds, brother, because
The
they're
dirty
always in
birds.
games that are just like these are high tier matchups. This is the only 3-0 versus 3-0 matchup of the weekend, and Eagles will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock on week 4 until the end of time. I think this is the third time in a row that this is a matchup.
Yes.
It's insane. They've played twice in the playoffs too. This is nuts. The last two matchups featuring Hurts versus Baker Mayfield. Mayfield finished with a top 80th percentile EPA in both of
Ugh.
those games, where Hurts finished with a bottom third percentile, 28th in the playoff game and 22nd in the game last season. Of course, the caveat of last year's game, missing both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and then the playoff game, he played with that, I believe, like the sprained MCL, something like that, in his knee.
Mm-hmm.
So that really hindered what he was able to do. But what are you looking at from this matchup?
Uh, I mean, my key matchup more than anything is Jalen Hurts versus the Blitz. And can
Mm-hmm.
they handle whatever the heck Todd Bowles throws at them? Because Todd Bowles is Jalen Hurts' kryptonite. It is ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter how good Jalen Hurts is playing going into a Buccaneers game. He always just seems to get the best of Jalen Hurts. We saw Jalen Hurts take that kind of step up in the passing game in the second half of that Rams Eagles games. And if it was anyone else, I'd be super excited. I would be like, yes, we figured it out. This is gonna roll. But and now we're playing the Bucks, and it's surely to bounce back to what it was prior because Todd Bowles just has Jalen Hurts' number. Um, that being said, I think the most interesting thing about this game is whether or not Tristan Wirfs is going to play. He was limited participant this week. I mean, so was Baker, but I'm not super worried about Baker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Tristan Wirfs. I mean, the Eagles' defensive line has not looked stellar as is, and then you add in the Nolan Smith injury. So I think they're going to struggle to get pressure on Baker, and then you add in the fact that one of the best tackles, if not the best tackle in all of football, might be returning in this game. So it's just going to be interesting to see, if he's going to play. Because if he's going to play, I think they're going to struggle immensely in this game. So
Yeah, I'm looking here. Both Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell did not
yes,
participate today, but I wanted to
correct.
see Mr. Lane Johnson's participation, which he was
Limited.
limited. So
Yep. He'll
that
play.
is that is a good thing. Also, Adoree Jackson did not practice. They also placed Ja'Cory and Bennett on IR. So that
Chili
back
Ringo.
seven, that back seven is a little bit tested,
Hey,
and Godwin
Andrew
coming back.
Makuba time, baby. Andrew
Oh,
Makuba
it's
time.
been
He's gonna
Makuba
lock it
time,
down.
buddy.
Yeah,
It's
it
been
has.
Makuba time. But into the neck of the statistics, the Bucks continue to be very dynamic through the air. They're a top 5 dropback EPA. It doesn't matter who the play caller is. Baker rips it downfield at an impressive rate, but they're bottom 10 in success rate and EPA in the rush category, where last week we talked about it. The Eagles haven't changed too much, even with their second half dominance in the past game. They're still a pretty average offense with top 5 rushing offense. The Bucks defense, you cannot run on this team, which is it's interesting for this game because they're number 1 in rush EPA and they're number 2 in success rate, and then both defenses rank towards the middle in dropback EPA, but the Eagles' success rate much better than the Buccaneers. And that makes sense because Bowles is a much more aggressive play caller where Vic Fangio is you need to pick us apart kind of thing like that. So my matchup of the week is Desmond Watson against the tush push. No, I'm just kidding. AJ Brown versus the boundary corner, because we saw firsthand the trump card that AJ Brown is against some of these smaller cornerbacks on the outside. He was able to take over a half of football against a good defense after 5 halves of invisible football, literally invisible football from one of the best players in our sport. I'm just interested to see how they kind of lean into the play calling. I said it last week, like, I don't know how you don't have like 2 or 3 shots just lined up for this guy. The minute you get like cover 3, just throw it. Just like let's call something downfield for him. Like give some audibles in the huddle, things like that. I just how do they lean into it? And this kind of points to your like, if Bulls is going to be aggressive, you're going to leave your corners on islands against these receivers. I just wonder how he kind of fares in that category. So pretty fun matchup once again, as it always has been. Let's move on to the big one in the Sunday afternoon slate. The Ravens travel to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Well, somebody's got to start 1-3. So interested to see how that works out. This is a rematch of last year's Week 1 matchup, so it's been a long time since these two teams have played. And Mahomes, for the first time in his career, is an underdog at home in the first 2 matchups of the season. Any metric you look at outside of eye test, the Chiefs through 3 weeks are still a top 15 offense. Baltimore is similar in the pass game, kind of in the, what they were last week when I talked about with them with the Lions, kind of in that top 7 category. But the rush offense with Lamar and Derrick Henry is lackluster in the nicest of ways. They're 12th in EPA, that's with the fumbles, and 19th in success rate. So that is it's a big problem. But you get into the defenses. Both of these teams have a pretty average pass defense, and they both rank in the bottom 4 in both rush EPA and rushing success rate, with Kansas City at 29th in both, and Baltimore at 31st in EPA and 32nd in success rate. They're still missing Nnamdi Madubuike. Travis Jones is out there, but it seems without his running mate, they are not stopping the run well. This is a Chiefs run game that had some success against the Giants, who have, Dexter Lawrence, and Darius Alexander played a really good game. So interested to see how the run game goes, specifically for the Chiefs side. But what do you have on this end?
No, I mean, my matchup of the week is Derrick Henry versus holding on to the football. I mean, this has been like an issue. I mean, I had kind of half-heartedly, joking, had brought up the fumble worrying with Derrick Henry through the first 2 weeks of the season, and then he fumbled maybe at the worst possible time for the Ravens. Again, I still don't think it is something to be super worried about. But now it's even more concerning than what it was before. But on to the actual game. This Ravens defense, man, it's concerning me just a little bit. I mean, this is kind of how it had opened up with them going into the last season. They had started out really slow. Zach Orr had finally put pieces together, and we're like, okay, this Ravens defense is one of the best defenses in all of football when stuff is getting put together and they're working, like firing on all cylinders. But now we're right back to what it is. And Zach Orr, you don't really have an excuse this time. You have time under your belt. We've seen this defense play good, and you have all of the players around you to have a flourishing defense. And now it's looking bad again. I'm wondering if this can be a get-right game for them, because as you've said, they're still trying to figure out this passing offense. Worthy is coming back. But this should not be a running offense that you should, be worried about, especially compared to last week. This is a major step down. Now, can we see you take that step up? So I'm just interested to see kind of the defensive matchup from both teams going into this game.
Yeah, I also had Henry as my matchup because he needs to take over this game. And so like this could be a game where You look at the Chiefs' metrics that like he should be able to have a monster game, and he didn't have one last year. And obviously it was the first game of the season, so you kind of have that. They were trailing most of the game, so they were in drop back situations a lot. But yeah, this sets up to be a spot where he could really take over. And you mentioned it, like it's weird to point at Derrick Henry and say like the two losses can be traced back to mistakes you made, and like the first half of week 1 against the Bills, like I was seeing stuff on my timeline where it's like, is this the greatest peak of a running back ever? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it giveth and taketh. But for the fumble thing, I think it's overblown. I think it's the yips. I think sometimes
Yes.
you get into that mode. I think every time it's asked, just be like, Derek's fine. Just nobody talk about it. Don't do any like, you got to hold the ball and things like that. And this is the way to carry it, and stop carrying it so far out of your chest. It's viable to be punched out. I think Derrick Henry just needs to see, 20 carries go through where it's no fumble, and then it's out of mind. So that's kind of
Yes.
my take. Maybe it's a little, maybe I'm too
I think you're
careless about
correct.
it. But I think that's the way to handle it. Someone who is as dynamic as Derrick Henry is. Let's get into the final matchup of the week. Sunday Night Football. The Packers travel to the Cowboys. Is there any storyline that matters in this game? Oh, yeah, Micah Parsons returning to Dallas for the first time since the blockbuster trade that happened literally less than a month ago. Think about that. Like, I feel like
That's
he's been a
crazy.
Packer my entire life now after watching this defense play for a few weeks. These are two very high-powered offenses through 3 weeks. But they're both missing their top tier wideouts. I know Jaden Reed is a step down from CeeDee Lamb, but I've talked about it. Jaden Reed does a lot for this offense that people, from a side to side perspective and an every down motion perspective, that a lot of, there's a lot put on his plate in the little stuff that I think go unnoticed outside of receiving yards. My matchup, I'll get right into it and then swing it over to you. The Packers offense versus the Cowboys defense. I think the Packers defense versus Cowboys O is going to be a fun matchup, and I think it's going to be back and forth. I think Dak is going to get rid of the ball quickly. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think they can run the ball on this defense just by sheer, their success rate through 3 weeks has been the number one. So until it's proven
Yeah.
otherwise, I think Dallas can run the ball this year. I think Clayton Adams has done a really good job scheming up stuff like that. So I think they can find a way to run the ball. Maybe, I know Detroit couldn't. But my matchup, talking about the Packers offense versus Cowboys defense, how in the hell does Dallas get stops, man? I just don't see how this team stops this offense. What Cleveland could do to Green Bay was they have so much overwhelming defensive line talent, and they have sticky man cover corners behind it. So they can dominate the line of scrimmage, and you're getting into 2nd and 8s, and then you're getting into 3rd and 5s, and then you just play tough man coverage, and you force some mistakes with Love. Like that slant route that he threw, like Grant Delpit reads that perfectly. Like it's man,
Hmm.
and he's kind of a rover safety, but he's playing in like a cover zero look, and he just bolts to Jordan's eyes and intercepts it. It turns the game around. Uh, Dallas doesn't do that. You know why? Because Matt Eberflus doesn't do that. Like he rushes 4 and he puts a lid on on the offense. Like I don't know how this is gonna work, man. I just keep thinking back to this. If I know this is not the way to look at it, but like if Caleb Williams could have that much success just throwing from the pocket and just having so much time, I just think the Packers are going to be able to have the same thing. I know Zach Tom is likely to be out this week, so that's another like just it's more switching along the offensive line that they have to make. But he was out against the Commanders, and they still had a ton of time, and they were still dominant through the air. So I'm just interested to see what does Dallas do. Does Dallas change up anything? Does Eberflus do like get any like some some throw some pressure stuff at him at Love, because that is what Love is prone to, is when you throw some pressure stuff with man coverage behind him. Sometimes these receivers don't get open, and he makes some ill-advised throws because of it. So
Hmm.
that's really what you got to do. I don't know what he's gonna do. I've been talking about this matchup too long. Ben, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I'm gonna take the cherry pick the easy matchup here. For me, that's Micah Parsons versus that battered Cowboys offensive line, and more specifically the interior. I don't know what the exact stats are, but watching the Packers play, they haven't been super shy in terms of kicking Micah Parsons inside and letting
Mhm.
him pass a pass rush against centers and guards. And again, as we kind of spoke in the earlier segments of the podcast, there's a lot of questions and a lot of injuries along the interior of that Packers or of that Cowboys offensive line. So it's just going to be interesting to see if Micah goes into this game with the FU mindset and said, "I'm going to get 3 sacks against you, whether you like it or not." And that's kind of the matchup that I'm going to be looking at here. So
Yep. Excellent. We needed to hit on that. But I was
yes.
just too enthralled with the Packers offense, as you know I am. But that is all for games of the week. Timeout. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. It really, really helps us out. It helps push out the algorithm to so many different new fans of the channel. But I'll let you get back to the video. I believe. Let me find it. Because Ryan sent us the records, right?
Ryan, yes, I have them.
You have
So
Ryan's picks, and then I'll
yes,
find the
I have
records.
I have that. That so go this past week, me and Matt had tied, going 11-5. So look at us, go Matt, go me.
Look at us.
And then Ryan went 8-8. So at least he's 500 and did not have a losing prediction. That brings the overall prediction thus far through the first 3 weeks of the season, with me leading 35-13, Matt in second place, 31-17, and
35?
yes, 35-13. I've been
Gee
killing it,
whiz.
brother. And then Ryan at 27-21. He is hoping to have a bounce back week this week and hopefully, claw himself back into this competition here.
Yeah, 8 games of separation in 3 weeks is kind of nuts.
I
I'm
know.
kind of, I'm sitting. This is where I want to be, kind of in the middle. So, all right, awesome.
Uh,
Uh, we'll start obviously with the Thursday night football game. Seattle favored by 1.5 against the Cardinals. Ben, who you got?
no, I think it is very evidently clear based off of the way that I've been talking about the Cardinals as of recently, and more specific, their quarterback, that I am going with the Seahawks to win this
Yep.
game, and Ryan is as well.
Oh, we're all on Seattle. Yeah, I
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
take. I think Seattle's done a really really good job to open the year.
Mm.
They had a weird, Niners game, but I think they look to be figuring out where the Cardinals are still. They're still in the training wheels of the offense mode. All right, and then we get into the next one. Almost through this one on the games of the week, just to talk about it. But Dublin, we got
Ugh.
Vikings, Steelers, Carson Wentz, and Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me? Get up. All right. I've mastered the early games. All right. You gotta set you know you gotta set like the DVR, and then you can get up at like a later time,
Ah.
and you can speed through the commercials. You can speed through all that. You can speed through the halftime show. I mastered this a few years ago, and ever since then I've loved it. But I digress. Talking about my TV watching methods. Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings.
Yes, I'm actually going to take the Steelers here. I do obviously like the Vikings, and I usually default to their defense. Um, but at the end of the day, I think Carson Wentz is going to be forced to move the ball down the field, and
Hmm.
yet to see that. Obviously, it's only been one game, but I am going to go with the Steelers here. But Ryan is tailing you and going the Vikings.
Yeah, like the thing about the Wentz game was he kind of sucked. Like compared to his
Yes.
box score, like he made like 3 throws that I was like, oh, nice. but like he still held onto the ball and took like unnecessary sacks, which is what Wentz is gonna do. But
Always.
I
That's kind of
that box score was very deceiving. I'll just say that. Um, all right, let's move on. Let's do the big spreads of the week first. Saints Bills. Give me the Bills. I don't. It's just
yeah. No, give me the
everybody
Bills
take the
as well.
Bills. All right, all right.
Yeah. Ryan said Bills by 1,000,000. By the way,
I
so
think we could cover 1,000,000.
I think you could
It'd
cover.
be
Yeah, no, I think you
it'd be
could. Tough,
close. It'd be
but I think you guys
close.
could cover 1,000,000.
It could be close.
Uh,
Then we get into Browns traveling to Detroit against the Lions. Give me the Lions.
yes, give me the Lions, Ryan, as well.
There was some interesting stats I heard about the Browns. Speaking from the Packers game, like this is
Hmm.
something that like a little betting tip. So outside of I believe Kansas City and Baltimore, the Browns since Stefanski got hired have the third best winning percentage in the AFC at home. Where like
Hmm.
on the road they're like bottom five. It's kind of weird. It
Yeah.
makes sense because they've had like truly bottom out seasons, but you think of like the Ravens Browns game last year where Jameis came on and they won that game. They win this game against the Packers. It's something to keep an eye on, but I'm taking the Lions. Then we get into the 0-3 battle, AFC South. Titans traveling to Houston. The old school Titans versus Houston matchup. Ben, who you got?
I really, really, really did want to take the Titans here, and it took everything in me to not take the Titans here. Uh, but that being said, I am taking the Texans just because of their defense, and I think their defense is gonna have Cam Ward in just absolute hell. And Ryan I think agrees with me for the same reason he's going the Texans. I would assume such.
Yeah, I had to take the Texans. I wanted to do a little bit like can't quit him. I can. I can quit Brian Callahan. I don't think that guy is fit to be an NFL head coach. Let's
No,
get
the wide receiver coach actually is taking over play calling for them now.
yeah, yeah. So that's last resort stuff. All right, that's last resort
Yes.
like oh god, I got to give up play calling. We'll see how that works. New play caller against Houston, like that's an under the radar storyline. Uh,
Yeah.
then we get into the Chargers traveling to MetLife, favored by six
Chargers.
and a half. Uh, give me the Chargers, and I'm gonna take some alt unders on the Giants this week, like point totals.
Yes. No. As you should. No. Yeah. We're me and Ryan again. We're right there with you against the Chargers. Even if it was Russ or Jameis, I would still be going with the Chargers. But they're playing against Jaxson Fart in his first game. I I am feeling very confident about that one.
And now we get to the better games of the 1 o'clock slate. Panthers travel to New England. I mean, give me the Patriots. New agenda. Hashtag Drake May. Uh, we're here. He's been great. Christian Gonzalez is gonna play, so that's gonna be fun.
Yes.
It seems like he's gonna play. He's getting reps ramped up. So Ted McMillan, or sorry, Ted Aroa. I know he
He
doesn't like
doesn't
being
like
called
Ted.
that. T Mac is gonna go up against Gonzo, so that's fun.
No, yes. We are both also riding with the Patriots. That being said, I don't think it's like something to be super concerned about, but T Mac did pop up on the injury report today as a limited participant. Again, I don't think it's something to worry too much about, but that's just something sneakily to keep an eye out for because my lord, if Ted is hurt, you're in for a long, long game.
Hunter Renfro season. Um, then we get into the premiere. No, we have one more. How could I
Yes.
forget? Commanders travel to Atlanta to face Michael Penix, two 2024 drafted quarterbacks. Raheem Morris came out this week and said, yeah, Kirk Cousins sucked last year and lost his job. Michael Penix hasn't done that yet. The first part he has done, but lost his job he has not done yet. So that was an interesting presser, to say
Yes.
the least. Seems like Daniels is ramping up to play. I think I'm going to say that.
Yes.
I hate this game. Come back to me. You go first.
No, I hate this game too. Me and Ryan have agreed on literally every single pick thus far, and we continue to agree
No,
on
he
that.
took Vikings. He took Vikings.
Oh yeah, he took Vikings.
Yeah.
My bad. We are both going the Commanders. Michael Penix, he that guy sucks. So.
All right. I'll take Atlanta just to fade. Just
Okay.
because I think Pick'em is right. I think Pick'em is right on this game. Penix has been good at home, which is one game compared to two games, but I'm going with that. All right, there's my analysis. Michael Penix, good at home. He was good against the Commanders too last year. All right, so we'll ride that. Then we get into the premier one that I was mentioning before. The Eagles 3.5 travel to Tampa Bay to face the 3-0 Bucks. Give me the Eagles. I think this team's just a wagon, man. I think they figure it out. I know this has been the boogeyman, but
Yes.
I continue to give me the Eagles until they give me a reason not to.
Hey, amen to that, brother. Come on. Would you expect anything different from me other than picking the Eagles?
Yes,
I know I didn't pick
after
them last week. I know I didn't
Yes,
pick them
I
last
would.
week. But I just come on. I can't quit. Give me the Eagles, Ryan as well.
All right. Ooh, that's fun. I thought he was gonna certainly take the Bucks because of Baker.
Yes. Yes.
Then we get into the afternoon slate. We have 4 games. Oh, beautiful! You love 4 games for the multi-view. Don't know why I did the hands there, but Jaguars travel to San Francisco across the country matchup. I look at these things. I can't even lie. When you have to travel that far, I do think about these things, and that's why you give me the Niners. I think there's a long travel for the Jags, and Mac Jones revenge. Who knows? Which I don't know why he would have revenge for the Jags, but he played there last year. So let's create a revenge narrative for this one. Niners.
I'm God. I can't believe I'm doing this. I cannot believe I am taking Trevor Lawrence right now with how bad he has played. But I am going to take Trevor Lawrence. And I promise you guys, this is not a bit. Ryan is also taking the Jaguars here too.
Let's go, man.
Yes. I just as we had talked about, Joey Bosa was a very, very big part of this defense, and I think it's gonna hurt. And hey, some are saying this is the Brian Thomas redemption game. So,
Some are saying.
some are saying me. I'm some.
He's saying.
Yes.
And then we move on to the highest point total of the weekend at 50.5. The Colts. The high-powered Colts offense traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams. The Rams are favored by 3.5. Give me the Colts. Give me Indiana Jones. Some of these teams, all right, like the Niners and Colts, the same thing. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Make me pick the opposite team. Make me think about this. They're undefeated for a reason. You are what your record says you are. Cliche, cliche, cliche. Give me the Colts.
I'm going Rams. I'm going Rams. As fun as it's been to ride with Indiana Jones, and I don't think he necessarily has a bad game this week. It's just very hard to out-duel Matt Stafford in this Rams offense when they are firing on all cylinders. Whether or not they will be firing on all cylinders is a different discussion to have. But, I think they have a fire burden under them after how it ended last week. That's why I'm going Rams, and Ryan is also going Rams here.
All right. I like it. I'm riding with the Colts. These
All
are
right.
Colts. Then we get into the 425 matchup. Bears travel to Vegas. This was big earlier, like a few weeks ago when Monday Night Football was happening, and Tom Brady called the Bears game last week. Of course, he was, in the booth for the Raiders. So now, like, is Brady telling secrets about Caleb Williams? Some are saying it's something to think about. I believe that narrative. Give me the Raiders.
No, I genuinely think like this is something that is like by the majority of NFL fans is getting glossed over. Like no NFL team should allow this guy in their building to do interviews before the games. This is ridiculous. You would not allow an owner of any other team to come in here and do that. But it's crazy. It's like it's not talked about enough. I am going Bears, and of course Ryan is going Bears. But next to his prediction, he said Psy, so I don't think he is as confident in that. So
he I think he's 0-3 picking the Bears this season because he didn't pick them last week, and then I'm 3-0 picking the Bears, so something to think about. I'm picking Raiders. Yes. Yeah. So Ryan's on the Bears.
This is the breaking factor.
Ooh. Also, underrated subplot: Geno against the secondary. Like,
oh God,
this is a Geno dream to just launch the ball against Dennis Allen.
Hey,
he might have 400 yards. He might have 400 yards. And then we get into the big one. This is what the title is referenced on. Welcome to uncharted territory. The Ravens against the Chiefs, 1-2 versus 1-2. Someone is going to be in uncharted territory. Give me the Ravens. I think the Ravens figure it out. My matchup, I talked about Derrick Henry going off in this game. I think that does happen. I'm wish casting it, speaking it into existence. I'm taking Baltimore in this one.
As both are me and Ryan. I think they finally figure it out. I mean, the Chiefs do get, some help in terms of offense with Xavier Worthy probably most likely coming back. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to, establish himself back into this offense. And I think, the Ravens defense, as I said, finds their way to get back on track. Yeah.
I like it. Then we get into Sunday Night Football. Packers traveling to Jerry's World in Arlington, Texas. Give me the Packers by a lot. Okay. Almost slipped up there. Give me the Packers by a lot. Come on. It's all Packers over here, man. I think this team is really, really good. And I think last week's a fluke. Last week's a fluke. It didn't even count, all right? There's nothing this Dallas team does similar to what that Browns team does. So I'm taking the Packers, and I'm taking them by a lot.
No, Ryan would absolutely agree. Ryan said Packers by 1,000,000, which, hey, quite the turnaround from where he once talked about the Packers. I know, right? But yes. Oh, come on now. I'm taking the pack as well. Micah Parsons again. He's gonna have like a 4-sack game, and it's gonna be a good time.
4-sack game. Yeah. This is where like the narratives come in for like those awards. Like if he has a monster game at this point, like he's gonna take over those odds. Crazy. So if you think he's gonna have a big game, I'd bet him no.
Yeah.
Then we get into the Devils work, double Monday Night Football games, and they're happening at the same time, folks. It's not like 2 weeks ago where one game was at 6 and another one was at 9, my time. No, they're an hour apart this time. Awesome. But this game is probably the one to skip. Jets traveling to Miami to face the Dolphins. Give me the Jets. I don't know the status on Fields. Let me look that up. You go. I'll find Justin Fields' status.
Ryan agrees. He says Jets, but who cares? I quote, that is what he said. And I think we're all in agreement on that one. I'm gonna zig while you guys are zagging. I'm going to go the Dolphins. This is going to be one of the only 2 games that me and Ryan pick different from one another, which is may not fare too well for myself here. But I am going Dolphins.
It says we haven't heard a ton of information. Of course, it's a Monday game, so we don't have any practice reports right now. I'm gonna flip. I'm flipping to the Dolphins.
Woo!
Flipping to the Dolphins because I don't know who's gonna play quarterback. I think Fields adds a dynamic element of just chaos factor that I want to root for.
Yes.
Where Tyrod Taylor is what he is. He gassed up those numbers last week in the 2-minute drill. So yeah, give me the Dolphins just because I guess I know what I'm getting, and they have the long break. They Thursday to Monday, that's
the little mini bye.
They got the mini bye, so yeah, mini bye believer, and then we get into Bengals traveling to the Broncos. Broncos favored by over a touchdown at 7.5. I mean, I'm gonna take the Broncos just because they're favored and they're the better defense, and Jake Browning against good defenses doesn't seem to be too good, huh? And they can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. Chase Brown is averaging 2 yards a carry, and he has the 4th most carries in football. It's crazy how bad
it's
he's
awful.
been. And that's indicative on their defense or offensive line.
It's bad. We are also going the Broncos as well. Quick pivot here. Just side note, unrelated to anything that we have discussed. Speaking of bad, my lord, Ash and GT, dude, that offensive line is so bad. I saw a stat that Ash and GT has 144 rushing yards on the season and 145 rushing yards after contact. So he is having more yards after contact than he does on the actual season because that offensive line is so bad.
That's so beast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. More offensive line stats for the Raiders. Gino's been sacked 12 times. DJ Glaze is really bad. I watched Genty after week 2. He's really bad. They'll figure it out, but
yeah.
Holy moly. So that's all our picks for this weekend's games. Then we swing it over to Pigskin Payout.
Yeah. I have Ryan's, and Ryan's really made me chuckle here. It'll make sense here in a second.
Again?
He's always going to do touchdown parlays.
Okay.
He did 4. He did Amari Hampton, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and my guess is that he misspelled this, and I could be wrong, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he meant to say Travis Etienne. That would bring the whole total up to plus 763. That being said, I could just be wrong, and he could have meant Trevor Etienne. He put Trevor Etienne in his notes that he had sent me. That alone, Trevor Etienne is plus 6,000 to score a touchdown in this game. So again, I am giving him the benefit of the doubt that he meant to pick Travis Etienne. But if he didn't, and Trevor Etienne scores a touchdown, you might be cooking with some fire here. That being said, let me pull up what I have here. I have a guy that we had already mentioned. You kind of stole the show a little bit earlier. I wanted to talk about it, but hey, that means we are on the same page here. I'm taking JSN over 80 yards. Seahawks money line. Amari Hampton over 60 yards. And then the spread is so big, there's no way that I can't not pick it. I did an alt line for the Saints, and I have the Saints covering 17.5 just because the line is at 15.5, and it's just freaking ridiculous. And we like football numbers around here. So we're doing Saints covering 17.5. Let's see if I am incorrect about that, but I just think that is a whole lot of points, regardless of if it's the Bills or not. So, and that brings mine up to plus 787 as well. $10 will win you $87 as your total payout. So,
Dude, I have no read
are
on
you
like
whipping
any
up
of
a?
these games. I've no read. I have one
Are
thing I
you
like.
picking Trevor Etienne to possibly score an anytime touchdown score?
No, no,
uh,
no, no, I'm not.
no. And
Do I
again, for
need
those
to?
who
I think I.
you might have to. For those who again are interested, I said it last week's podcast. Um, if you're trying to get in early, again, not sponsored, but if you are trying to get in early on these lines, DraftKings does put them out much sooner than FanDuel. FanDuel kind of struggles getting these things out way ahead of time, whereas
Talking
DraftKings,
player props. Talking player props.
yes, player props are out far sooner, and that's what I've been kind of using to do this as of recent weeks. So,
All right. Yeah, we're gonna play it light. We're gonna play a three-legger. Uh, give me the Patriots spread against the Panthers, which is 5.5. Win by 6. I just think they're a much better team. I think
yes.
they're gonna get healthy on defense. I think the Panthers, any game the Panthers play this year, I think they're gonna struggle to get to 20. And the Patriots, outside of 4 fumbles last week, would have gotten to that pretty easily. They've been pretty dynamic on offense, even with the, you know, less talent. And then we get into the next part, afternoon slate. Niners money line and Derrick Henry. I talked about it, 80 plus rush yards, which seems to be his total right now. Or no, his total is 80.5. I'll take just the straight 80. Because I said it, I think this is a game that he could take over. I think this is a game that they absolutely desire him to take over. And I don't think this is going to be like ooh, now we got to give Justice Hill touches because Henry's fumbling too much. No, they're going to double down. He's going to get 20 carries against a
Mm-hmm.
pretty bad overall rushing defense in Kansas City. So that is Pigskin Payout. That is all for the NFL preview week. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. We really appreciate you clicking on this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. That always helps us out. And remember, check out our links in the description. And Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time, live over here, talking ball, interacting with the chat, having some fun. So you wouldn't want to miss that. But that's all for me. And until next time, roll that outro.